Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to do a little bit of a different video today, more so just a Q&A video, but also I just kind of wanted to do a little bit of a chat with you guys. For those of you who don't know, I'm literally entering my last semester of university, and I feel like this is just the perfect time to finally get around to answering the questions that you guys have given me. I'm also wrapping up my second full-time internship, but my third kind of professional role. This summer role that I have right now, I started in April and I'm ending August 29th. It's been really nice, and this is my first like corporate downtown role, so it's been a good journey and a very, very interesting experience. So there's just a lot of questions that you guys have asked, and I feel like I should just do it all in this video. Tips on internships, and also just interview tips as well. So it's kind of been a couple variations of that question, but more or less internships are, in my opinion, not that easy to get, but also not impossible to get. I feel like a lot of people are discouraged from trying to join the job market and to apply and to do all these things because of the economy right now. For a bit of context in terms of what I did to find the roles that I have, the very first one, the first two roles that I found were through a job board that my university has. So my university literally had just like an online job portal, and they would like post the roles that were available. If there was something, especially if it was at the university, I would apply to it. I feel like applying as a student to like student roles at your university is so much easier to just like get your foot in the door and like get that experience. If you're sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, I would love to apply, but I have no experience. If you are in university or just like any way possible, try to do some volunteer work. One of the biggest things that I did throughout my sociology degree was literally join extracurricular clubs and try to be on the exec teams for those clubs, because the way student clubs are run, at least in Canada that I know of, is more or less the same as having a team for like work. Like you literally have a marketing person, you have a operations person, you have a finance person. Joining those volunteer extracurriculars is a really good way to get experience, and then you can put that on your resume, and then you can apply to like just student entry-level intern roles. That being said, still on tips on internships and advice on internships, my current role that's in corporate took forever. I will say, I started looking in December for summer roles. Some companies literally post it in December. Some companies literally post as early as October, November, maybe even September. I know a couple oil and gas companies here in Canada that literally do their recruitment for summer internships in like November. You really just have to keep an eye out. Not that you have to constantly look. If you have a spare time, like look at those job boards, look on LinkedIn. So I was actively looking on those job boards in December, January, February. I found this role in February from the company's direct website. Sometimes you just gotta like, I don't know, just stalk the companies. You know, if you see a target company you like, you literally just have to periodically see when they post internships, unless you have some sort of insight on when they do internships. Don't do it so much that you're like drowning yourself in it. I literally would just do it on my free time, and then I'd be like, oh cool, there's a posting, so I would apply. Luckily at this company, they did have like a student / co-op position page, and it was like, we typically post around February, March. They posted February this year, so I applied. And to give you a bit of context, I applied to 25 companies and one got back to me. And I was very lucky that the one that got back to me hired me. So it's a whole process. Throughout literally December to, I want to say mid to late March, I was applying to roles. That being said, moving on to the next frequently asked question is kind of tips on resumes and tips on applying, and interview tips as well, which was kind of part of the first question. The biggest thing that I have learned is in private companies, typically they want you to have a short resume, usually a one-pager. For public companies, so if you're applying to places like schools or like government or like any public organization, they don't mind if your resume is long. Like you can have like a 2 to 3 page resume, quote unquote. It's usually called a CV. This is just gonna be a random thing, but I feel like somebody's gonna have it. Please have a professional email. And by professional email, I mean, please just have your first and last name. And like, if you can't get a first and last name, do first name underscore last name, or like last name underscore first name, or like first name, last name, and like a number at gmail.com or something simple like that, because there's literally so many people that I've seen with their resumes, and their resumes have some email like Hello Kitty Girl 123 or something like that. Like it's like, that's not professional and they're not gonna take you seriously. So if your email is not serious, and if you made your email like when you were 6 years old or something. I don't know, like change it, please. Another thing that I also learned was for resumes, it's tough as a student because you obviously don't have that much time to always update your resume and cater it towards a role. But if you can, please do so. When you're applying for a role, try to make sure that the responsibilities that they put and like all the key competencies or all the key like responsibilities and duties, you have those keywords in your resume. So if you don't have that much time in terms of, you know, balancing school and applying for stuff, maybe you should be a little bit more picky about the roles that you apply for, because especially with automation and AI, if they run your resume through something, they will probably bump up the resumes that have the keywords that they're looking for. And your biggest cheat code for that is the stuff that's already in the job description. So if you can, please add those to your resume. As for interview tips, my biggest thing is if they have some sort of like guideline on their website, follow that. For my company, they basically had a whole web page that was dedicated to it that was saying for our interviews we use the STAR method. You guys can search up STAR method. I'm sure there's a ton of videos on YouTube about it, but it's basically just a certain way to answer questions, and that's honestly just the best way that I've prepared for interviews. More or less the companies, especially if they're actively hiring for interns and stuff, have a sort of dedicated page that give you tips on interviewing and interview stuff like that. And also if you do go to a university, a lot of them usually have like a career development like center where you can just like practice doing interviews and stuff like that. I will say I think I practiced every single day for like a week before my interview. So yeah, the basic things you should know how to answer is tell me a bit about yourself. Why are you interested in this role? Those are usually 2 questions that they like always ask. This one is a bit of a computer science one, but tips on LeetCode and interviews. I can't say anything about LeetCode, to be honest. I think there's a ton of better resources than me in terms of answering questions about LeetCode and computer science because I'm not really going into software engineering. So I'll try to put some resources for you guys for that. If you're not going to software engineering, then which options are there in IT without coding? Okay, a lot of people I feel like think computer science, you have to directly go into software engineering. This is what's wonderful about a computer science degree, and honestly any degree, is that at the end of the day, your degree doesn't really matter. Computer science roles that you could go into, you could literally go into whatever your heart desires. Like for example, you could go into finance, you could go into data analytics, or like data visualization role. You could literally just go into marketing and do like analytics. For me personally, I'm more interested in like data policy and data governance, and that's basically just making policies and standards and stuff for an organization to follow so that their data protocols and like the way they handle data is like in line with legislation and law. This goes to the next question, which field can you go to? Again, I feel like you could go into any field, like mostly professional services fields. In terms of computer science, like what I've noticed is, at least at my company, so we have a IT department, but there's usually people in that IT department that are quote unquote assigned to other departments. So for example, there's an IT person for the finance department. It's not like that IT person is the person that just answers your tech questions. Like at least at my company, there's people that are assigned to like different departments and they manage basically all the IT systems and like maybe doing coding for projects that that department's doing. Like for example, if the tax department wants to like implement some new software solution, they go to a specific group of IT people or like computer science professionals, and they're, you know, the designated ones for the tax group. And I feel like at most bigger companies, especially private ones, in my opinion, I feel like there's at least somebody or some role titled analyst. And with all the technology like advancing, I feel like there is a place for people with computer science degrees. Anyways, hopefully this video wasn't too long and too long-winded, but I just wanted to do a full-on just Q&A dump for internship questions. But if you guys have any further questions, please feel free to let me know. Hopefully some of this was of some use to you guys. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next vlog. Bye!